Hello guys, you're welcome to another video in this series. Now in this video I want to talk about row. So we've talked about the column widget inside of Flutter, and now we're going to talk about the row widget. Alright, so what is the row widget? The row widget is the one that allows us to lay out our widgets or children widgets in a horizontal manner. So for example, if you look at the column widget, it allows us to lay the children in a vertical fashion. So the row just allows us to lay them out horizontally. And so we have a bunch of things that could be useful for. So for example, here I'm actually going to, instead of deleting this code, I'm actually going to start showing you gradually what a Flutter code usually looks like. Of course, it doesn't always look this ugly. You can always make it look better by composing and refactoring your code into multiple widgets, but that's not what we're going to be looking at in this video. In this video, we're just going to look at what a tree structure of a Flutter app looks like. All right, so we're going to do row here. So as you can see, what I'm doing is I'm putting a row inside of a column. So what that means is that this row is going to be the first child that will be displayed inside of this column. I hope you get that. Anyway, there we go. So now a row also has children. And what can we do with the children of a row? Of course, we can put widgets inside of them. So for example, we might want to have like I don't know, we might want to have like some sort of clickable header that just scrolls. So I'm going to be using a card as an example here, and the child of this card is going to be let me see I'm just going to use a text, and then we're going to see log in, for example, or we're going to see our market, and then I want to add some padding to this, so we're going to use the if I can find it. No, I can't. Anyway, I don't know why I cannot find padding here. Anyway, so I'm just going to wrap it with padding. This is the child. And I know I haven't talked about padding yet, but I'm gonna do that in subsequent videos. But what padding allows you to do is to add some spaces around the child widget. Alright, so basically it's going to take our text, and after laying out the text, it's going to apply some space around the text. Alright, so based on whatever we specify for the edging sets. So here I'm going to say 8.0, and now if I think I'm just going to make all of these consts because they are all consts, and that makes all of this pointless. And now I need to save this, and now if I do hot reload, you're going to see that we now have our market displaying somewhere around here. And of course, we could have a lot of these card items now. So we could have, like, I don't know, maybe log in register, I don't know, search. And of course, you could have like as much as you want, and this is going to be displayed in a row. So this is how you can actually display elements that display like in a row or in a column inside of Flutter. Now, of course, you could also add a scrollable to it. So for example, if I want to overflow this so if I add enough elements to make the row actually if I add enough elements to make the row actually longer than usual, you're gonna get an error because it's going to say, is it an error? It's actually gonna be a warning. You're gonna get a warning that says that we have overflowed this. So how do we fix this? To fix this is actually simple. I need to remove this first. of all, because it's actually I don't think it's necessary. Anyway, so to fix this, we're going to wrap this row. Where the hell is it? Here. We're going to also have to wrap it in a single child scroll view, or we use a list view, just as we solved it for a column. So to do that, of course, you're going to do it with wrap with widgets, and then we have single child scroll view. And now with the single child scroll view, what we could do now is specify the scroll direction and say axis dot horizontal. So what this means is that it's going to scroll on the horizontal axis, it's going to scroll on the x-axis. So if we save and we do hot reload, you're now going to see that the error is going to go away, and now you can scroll your widget. So you can scroll both vertically and you can scroll horizontally, and that's as much as we get for a row widget. Of course, like I said, you could also use like a list view. If you don't want to use a single child scroll view, you could use like a list view. Here you just change this to list view, and then you have like a scroll direction dot horizontal. So if you don't specify a scroll direction for this list view, it's going to be vertical by default. So make sure you specify a scroll direction as horizontal if you want this to actually work. So if I reload that now, you're gonna see that we're going to get an error. Yeah, so we're gonna get an error for the list view, and the reason for that is because our list view, this list view, is actually going to fill up the vertical space as well as the horizontal space. Alright, so we have to find a way to constrain this list view to take the least amount of spaces possible. And there's a bunch of ways we can actually fix this. We could use the shrink wrap thing first of all to tell the list view that it should only use as much space as it needs. This is not particularly performant, and this is the equivalent of actually using the row and stuff, but this could work. And if it doesn't work, then we're gonna also do what is it called? We could also use a sized box. We could also wrap this in a sized box and make the height something like 50, I guess. Alright. And so now this is gonna work. Hopefully. There we go. So now you can see that by constraining the list view's height, it's going to fix our issue of, whatever this was. And let me see if I take off the shrink wrap, I still don't have an exception. Yeah, cool. So by default, you can see that list view takes height, and you have to find a widget which is like a container that can constrain the height of the list view, and you'll be able to scroll the list view horizontally if you specify it properly like that. Anyway, that is all for this video about row. So we're talking about row and not list view. But I just took a little detour there to show you how you would implement something that scrolls if you use a row. So a row by default doesn't scroll. So something like this by default will make a row complain. But you already know how to fix this by just adding a single child scroll view as a child, as a parent of the row widget. So once you can do that, that is pretty much it. Of course, you always have to set the scroll direction to horizontal, And once you also do that, it should be good and your application is going to work as you expect. So now the error should go away again. And as you can see, for me, I think this is much better than the list view solution. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you like this video. Please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.